Hey everybody, welcome to Do You Believe on Paranormal Zone TV. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it. For those who may be watching for the first time, if you would please subscribe, I'd appreciate that. And also don't forget to give the show a like. Now tonight, my good friend Anita Jo Intenzo is joining us tonight. She was featured on episodes of a haunting. It was called The Portal of Dome, Demonic Activity. And tonight our show is on haunted objects. So everyone, let's welcome Anita to the show. Hey Anita, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Noreen. It's always great to be on your show.
Now also Anita is the author of A State of Horror and Dark Transference. And tonight, I did air a show. I've aired several shows with Anita, and we did air a show on her first book, A State of Horror. And after this show, I will put a link to that show. But tonight, our show is in reference to her second book, Dark Transference. Now, these books can be purchased on Amazon. So, Anita, let's tell the viewers why you wrote this book and a little bit about yourself as well.
Well, thanks, Noreen. I wrote the second book and the first book that deals with experiences that I had happened to me starting in 2009. I was very good friends with a gentleman for a number of years who was an anthropologist, and me being an artist and also a student of archaeology and loving anthropology, we had met at a lecture, and from there we had common interests and became very good friends. Unfortunately, in 2009, I received a call that he had a heart attack, and he died the next day. And it was before I could even reach him at the hospital that he had passed away. But he had left me in charge of his estate as executrix. So I had no idea what I was in for, but I knew I needed to take care of anything that I needed to do with the lawyer, because he died so suddenly that things were just left very randomly, and we needed to start looking through paperwork and also to get to his house and see what kind of condition it was in and what I needed to do about fulfilling the parts of the will. My friend was only 55. He died of a heart attack. It was really a very shocking thing to me, because I had really no time to grieve, because the next day I had to go to the house and decide what I needed to do, but had no idea that I was going into a hoarding situation. And from there, the months that we spent at the house for like 10 months, my son and I had to clean out the house. We then experienced paranormal activity, which was completely out of left field for us. We had no idea that we would be dealing with this type of thing, but it escalated as we started moving objects. My friend, being an anthropologist, he left many, many crates and boxes of artifacts, plus what his parents had left behind, because they had died in the previous 10 years. So he was living there by himself, but the amounts of objects, it was so unbelievable what I had to go through. And as we were going through the objects and trying to sort them, seeing what things had to go to different people, we then started seeing activity in the house. First, we weren't sure what it was. It was poltergeist activity, things being thrown against a wall, seeing and hearing things. But we started documenting and starting videotaping. I was keeping a diary. And from that diary and from our documented videotapes and even our audio tapes, I then prepared to write a book on it, which became the first book, A State of Horror. And then as things proceeded and I was writing the first book, things were happening while I was writing the first book that were happening in my house. So the second book, Dark Transference, is a continuation of once we closed a chapter at his house and were able to feel like, well, we've accomplished what we needed to do and maybe we put things to rest, things then started happening in my house, and that's where the second book comes in with Dark Transference, because many of the objects that he willed to me I brought to my basement because I had the room and did not know what I was creating when I did that. So that's how the both books came about. And then we were asked to be on a haunting TV show, and that's basically deals with the first book, and they did a really great job with showing the types of situation we were in and the amazing amount of artifacts that he did have. And then it touches on some of the things that happened in the second book, and the show kind of shows some of that at the end of it. But now, if people read the second book, they'll have a better idea of what happened, where the show doesn't show these other things that happen, the experiences. The second book, explains more of that.
Mm-hmm. And I do have some clips to show the viewers of the poltergeist activity that just some of the clips. I mean, she's had a lot of activity, but some of the clips of the poltergeist activity in the basement. But I want you to tell the viewers the story about the video that you posted on YouTube and the capture of the Shadow Man.
Oh, yeah, that was incredible. And Noreen was a big part of helping us kind of isolating the images, which was fantastic. After I wrote the first book, I was in the process of getting that published. We had some friends that helped us out from film school, and they created a book trailer for us in 2012, in July. Very hot night. We were outside for about 4 or 5 hours and then taking some shots inside, and they are of my property and of the interior when you come into my front door. Little did we know when we were filming, the activity, the cameraman and our director said there was a few weird things going on. One fellow said, my bag, I heard the Velcro rip open and there was nobody in the room, but somebody had opened his bag where he had some of his camera equipment. And they kind of made them believers, because I was kidding with them and said, I don't know if you'll capture anything while you're doing this video, but just be aware of, if you have extra batteries, you better have them, because we've had our batteries drained when we have been at my friend's house using camera equipment, and that might happen to you. Well, that didn't happen, but at the same point, when we were looking at the edits, the director, Bill, told me, he said, take a look at this. This is the footage, and there's something at the front door, and it's not us. So what I did was I looked at the raw footage, and the first 10 seconds as the front door is opening into a dark hallway, and then cue the spooky music, there is a shadow man that appeared at the front door with a hat. But right before that, we heard a noise. We didn't know if it was a bark or someone saying welcome or hi, but there was a brief EVP, and then this full shadow man that was, and the fellas who did the video did not know that was going to occur. They did not see that until after they were looking at the video and editing it. But I told Bill, I said, you know what, you captured our shadow man that I've seen in the hallway, and that is incredible. And then I showed that to you, Noreen, and you were able to separate 4 different blocks to show him forming full body there, the full dark shadow, and then as he's drifting off. And actually the front cover of Dark Transference has that one still of the full shadow man at the front door. So that's actually that made the front cover of my second book. But that was, you caught that with us, Noreen. That was incredible.
That was really creepy to find that. Okay, so now like I said, I have clips, honey. I want to show the viewers, present to the viewers of some of the poltergeist activity. All right, okay. So we will start with this one clip. It's only 31 seconds, so guys, pay attention. This is poltergeist activity, and in the it's in the in your friend's garage in the basement where you guys were cleaning.
It's in the basement. Out. Yes, okay. Yes, that's what. Yeah.
All right, so let's go. Here we go.
He's over here helping us out, that's all fine. He doesn't know. Doesn't know half the stuff. So
Oh God.
Then, let's see, the next one is the dancing cane.
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
All right, and this was also in the basement. And you
Yes.
guys were clean. Can you tell the viewers a little bit about that clip? Do you remember it all?
Yes. At the bottom of the steps leading down to the basement, there was a wardrobe closet, a freestanding wardrobe closet, and there was a cane hanging on the wardrobe closet. And we didn't think much of it. That was like something we just like, well, it's just hanging there. We'll get rid of it later. But my son was using the video camera. He was taking a picture of me and one of his friends as we were just taking things out of wardrobe. My friend's mother was a hoarder of clothing, and there was 15 wardrobes of clothing in the basement alone, and we were sorting it for charity and sorting it to see what was good that we can give to churches and things. And as he's just running the camera because we just don't know if anything would occur, and right near him the cane starts jumping up and down. So that was he just was like, okay, that just moved.
All right,
that was unexpected.
All right, so I'm going to play this clip.
Okay.
This one's 45 seconds long.
I like the people watch. I've watched enough.
Go close.
And watch. Well, we're going through the stuff. We're getting there.
Okay.
What was that?
I definitely got that on camera.
What?
That cane, like, moved.
Really? The cane just...
I don't know if I got anything of that on tape or not.
Well, I mean... Okay.
It definitely wasn't across the thermometer there a few seconds ago.
Okay. Jesus, that's material. Oh, look at that, the way it's lined. Look at that.
Man.
Yeah, see, she knew like a lot about it. What was that?
That was the cane again?
Okay. Then we have, oh gosh, another one. Now this one has 4 clips in one. There's a thrown magic marker and several other things that happened in the basement. And this is all from, I think, from 2009, when they started cleaning out the garage, the basement.
The basement, that's when the activity really started going crazy.
All right, guys, this one is about a minute and 31 seconds, so here we go.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know. It's falling.
Okay.
Okay, so...
I got that. Whatever that just fell off the thing.
What was that one? What's that, honey?
I don't know.
That's Washington.
Nah.
That's crazy.
Where the hell did that just come from?
This came from over here, right off to my right. I don't know where it's taken. It looks like they're sitting on the...
What was that?
It was one, that just fell.
That one there?
But he put that there, another one just went down there. Which is that slide?
That fell, didn't it?
No, that one down there.
Where's that one?
No, I did one in my...
No, this one
No, that one fell on the
something
floor.
just nicked that.
Right near you. They're throwing
Staying right
stones
over
again.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. Wonderful time.
Wonderful time. Remember all going to casinos.
Yeah, man. Tear it up.
$100 right in here.
I saw that. Did you see that fly right across?
What happened?
It flew right across. It came from right over there.
Where is it? What flew?
A slide. It flew right across the damn camera.
Huh?
Seems like there was stuff over here now. It's like calmed down. There's like slides that got like tires of slides for. Look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slides. A magic
When the
marker
slides were falling and
over
coming
here.
up in the air.
Yeah, they would just fall from the ceiling. We don't even know where they were coming from.
Now, Anita, your friend was an archaeologist, and what countries did he mostly travel to?
He was in South America mostly for his studies. He was a Mayan Indian expert. He traveled a great deal to Mexico, the Yucatan, had been in Peru, and then he traveled just for pleasure. He traveled many European countries and Turkey. He was in Middle East. So he did a lot of pleasure traveling, but mostly his work took him to South America, mostly in Mexico and in Yucatan. He was scheduled to be doing his doctorate in Guatemala, but he was at a time when there was a lot of guerrilla warfare going on, and they couldn't guarantee him and his team safety. So he was very disappointed that he wasn't able to pursue his Mayan studies that were taking him to Guatemala. So instead, he spent some time in the southwest of the United States, and luckily he was researching a pioneer village from the 1800s, and it happened to be they found an Indian burial ground when they were excavating the pioneer town. So I'll never forget how excited he was. He called me one evening and said, guess what, I'm still with the Indians, even though I thought I was going to be a little bit bored doing a colonial or, doing the pioneer village. And here, that was unexpected, that they found a prehistoric Indian village underneath that. So that's generally where his concentration was, of South America.
Now, when you went into the basement and you were going through all his belongings, you found some pretty interesting stuff that was disturbing to you, stemming back to the SS, the Nazis. Do you want to tell the viewers about that?
Well, that was an unexpected finding. My friend was of German descent, and his parents came to this country in 1949 with his oldest brother. When we were going through the house, his brother wasn't named in the will to be executor, which made him very upset. And he said to me, he says, I don't want you going through my family's personal belongings. And I just said to him, look, I will go through things and pack up everything for you. I'm not throwing anything out. I'll go through everything that needs to be done. And it took us 10 months because we were so methodical going through every piece of paper. And we're talking about boxes from the floor to the ceiling and did not know what was in any of them. Our first suspicion that something was a little bit off as far as a family history that my friend had told me about, we were moving a piece of furniture in his parents' bedroom, and underneath the area carpet, it got caught with one of the legs of the piece of furniture, and my son found a black booklet. And when we looked at it, here it was the Third Reich emblem of the eagle with the Nazi swastika, and it was gold embossed on a black this leather booklet. And we looked at it, and what it was, which I didn't know at the time because I hadn't expected to find anything like that, was a weir pass, WEHR, which was something that the military used during World War II, so they could have a document, sort of like a passport, to go through the different provinces in the occupied territories, that an officer would carry it, an enlisted man. They had different colors and different emblems for the different rankings. And this was his father had a uniform. There's a picture of his father in uniform, and I was kind of shocked because I knew his dad was older, but I did not know he had been in World War II. My friend only said he had a career in the Navy, and I did not put two and two together. I never thought anything about World War II. But then I came across pictures, which wasn't real. Anything was not apparent to us that anything was sinister. We found pictures, and his father had been in a uniform. I gave everything to the brother because they were all the family pieces. But what stuck in my mind was when the brother said to me, there was one particular picture of his father in a really dark, long coat with this hat on that I recognized was, from movies. That I go, wait a minute, that hat has an emblem on it that I think that looks like something of the Gestapo or something, or SS. And here the brother had said, when I pointed out, I said, well, that's a really interesting picture, and your father's with these other men in gray coats. His father was in the Navy, had been in the Klein's Marine, Craig's Marine. I'm not pronouncing it correctly. I can't speak German. But here he had been an officer that, from what we've learned, was recruited to be part of a other small group within probably the Gestapo. This is all what I had to find out these last couple of years of all the research I had to do. But the picture stuck in my mind when the brother said to me, oh, my dad was part of a small group, a special unit. And later on my son said, yeah, special unit. I wonder what that could be. But we didn't want to put two and two together yet until we came across some pins that were Nazi pins that had been probably given at different rallies, because we could see the different names of the cities in Germany, and they dated from the 1930s. So that was surprising. But then I had talked to a woman who had been a former neighbor. She had contacted me after I had received a letter that had been written to my friend. She did not know he passed away. It was forwarded to my address. So then I felt my duty. I should contact her, let her know that he was deceased, but send her an obituary, send her some of the things from his memorial, that I had to do all that myself. So she called me to thank me, and as we were discussing the family, she said something about, I said, well, my friend was very proud of his German heritage, and she said, well, his father was SS. I said, no, I did not know that. She goes, well, we all kind of knew that in the neighborhood, but nobody really said anything. He kept to himself, very mysterious. But she said, it was confirmed to her by her mother, because her mother was good friends with my friend's mother, and they had discussed the war. They had both been, refugees, in the way where they had to leave Europe after World War II to come to this country. And this woman's mother was Jewish, and yet my friend's mother, they were the German, but his mother had confessed to her mother that she was really sorry about what had happened to the Jewish people during World War II, and felt a big responsibility since she knew her husband had been taken part in this. So that with this woman, she just said this out of the blue, and I thought, well, I've got to kind of investigate this, because now these pictures and some of the things we found make sense.
Oh, I wish you had given me that. I wish I could have shared that picture, some of those pictures that you have. But what about the artifacts that you found among his belongings?
Oh, yes, some of the artifacts. Unfortunately, being things came to my house, we've had a lot of paranormal activity, and it's been linked to some of the artifacts in particular that we've had our investigative team, Laurie Hall McCabe of Adelco Ghosts and Tri-County Paranormal. They have been investigating with us from the very beginning since 2009. And let me start, I'll show you some objects that they got very high EMF readings when the objects were put to their equipment. So this first piece is a Native American artifact. It is a scraper. It says on the label, my friend labeled, it said found in a graveyard. So but we've gotten high readings on this particular piece, and the spear point, that's also the same material and found in the same location. So these have given off some high energy readings. If people don't know what EMF, it's electromagnetic frequency. People believe that in the paranormal community that spirits carry a magnetic type of profile or energy, and it can be picked up with very sensitive equipment that investigators like Laurie and her crew use. So we had some readings with that. Also, I have here, this is a mummy doll. This was featured in the Portal of Doom episode, not exactly the way this looks, but this is called a mummy doll because the wrappings and what this doll is made of came from actual mummy wrappings and pieces of textile that were found in Peru. The natives in the 1950s were they had all these tombs have been looted, and a lot of the textiles were just left out in the elements. So they started gathering up the textiles and actually making them into dolls, and people were buying them. So my friend had been in Peru in the early 70s, and this doll was made probably in the 50s, but he bought it in the 70s and brought it back with him. So this is also given off high energy readings, and it could be because it itself is made up of, items that are over, maybe close to 1,000 years old. So this has also been something that, has given off high energy readings. We also have a mask here, which is one of the most disturbing because just of the makeup of the demon-looking face. But this is a hand-carved wooden mask. This is not, I don't think it's South American. It's not labeled. It looks more to me like Tibetan or maybe of that region. And one of the interesting things about my friend's father, he was an engineer. And if he was associated with particular groups of maybe the SS, If people don't know, a lot of the Nazi government sent out large expeditions of people in Tibet and also around the world to find artifacts of great energy and great religious significance. Like the Raiders of the Lost Ark, the first movie, that it has a lot of real history associated with that. There was many teams sent out by Hitler to look for artifacts that could bring him great power, along with the Spear of Destiny. He was looking for the Holy Grail. They were in Tibet and finding some ancient books there, and that was kind of feeding into the whole idea that they were a powerful group. They had every right to be who they were because of their ancient lineage they were trying to find that dated back thousands of years. But this mask is it's a full mask, and I don't know where it came from, but it is really old from the wear and tear. It is handmade, and it could possibly have been in his father's collection, but I'm not really sure. Because, as I said, a lot of things, even though he was an anthropologist, some things I think he left and didn't catalog because he knew what they were, but other people wouldn't know coming in. And he, of course, didn't expect to die at such a young age, that he had many plans on doing more research and also writing another book on some of his expeditions. And a lot of these things never made it into any of his writings because he didn't live to do that. Another object which is really interesting, this is made out of wood, and it's Mayan Indian and very well hand painted, and it's probably a replica made to look like from a lot of the tomb paintings, but very powerful figurines, of gods and of high people of the elite class probably. But this hasn't given up much energy. It's made of wood. It might not conduct very much as the stone pieces did, but it's still a really beautiful object. What I have is many, many boxes of objects in different categories and different cultures, and this is just, we're centering tonight on the South American artifacts because they seem to play a lot into a lot of the research we're doing with the Nazis, and also my friend's trips to South America and what that might have meant to maybe the family too, that they took many trips to South America with him. This next little one is a little man. He's got his hands on his hips. It's made of fired clay. Again, I think it's probably Mayan. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's Peruvian or Mayan. I'm not really up on the exact facial features of some things. I know what they are, but this is also something that is kind of unusual. And these are just samples of the many, many objects that I have from the estate. Here's a shaman mask. This is a small little replica of a shaman mask, and this was purchased in the Yucatan. And a lot of the things don't have high energy readings, but we have such a massive collection. We wonder if the amount of artifacts are just acting as conduits, and actually amplifying the energy that we've gotten in the house with portals, and also the kinds of activity that we've had in the house. Hence the shadow man that Noreen mentioned that was taken at our front door, which has been seen in the house. We feel that he has been moved on from one of our many cleansings and visits by our friend Bill Bean, who's a deliverance minister. But there's other things that seem to take its place. Mm-hmm. So
now there is that a Mayan artifact that. Tell them the story about this, the Mayan artifact that was never found, although you have that in the collection.
Yes, all we have is an image from a slide that happened to get thrown at me at one point when we were cleaning out the house. That was one of the most unusual things of the amount of poltergeist activity while we were trying to pack up so many of the objects because the house was being cleared out and it was being sold and the money going to charity. We constantly had things being thrown at us. My friend took hundreds and hundreds of slides of when he was in his different elements, of traveling, and these slides were constantly being thrown at like little frisbees. And then there would be writing material. My friend was a writer, so there was pens and there was writing materials, and then there would be just a can of suntan lotion just being thrown across the room for whatever reason. But but the object we found, the image of it, we've never found that per se. We have been told through one of the mediums that had visited the house before we settled. We knew we needed to cleanse the house or get some answers because of the amount of haunting that was going on and why it was occurring. And what this medium was able to convey to us, and that's in the episode Portal of Doom, and it was portrayed very well, is my friend spoke through the medium that the team investigators brought with them and told us that there was an object that he brought back from Peru of such great energy, and it was not of this world. And we don't know exactly what that really means. If it's something that was made by a shaman, that was made something that would be to the gods or something extraterrestrial. But apparently we weren't supposed to find this thing, and it's in the collection, but it changes shape. It's a shapeshifter, and it does not want to be found because the energy it gives off, it also activates the things in our house. And we've had confirmation from one or two mediums that yes, there is something very powerful that ebbs and flows in the house. It's centered in the basement. We have looked through the boxes so many times trying to figure out where this thing could be and have no success with it. But the energy that has been shown in my basement, that whitish glow, I don't know, Noreen, if you want to show that was taken in my basement, and one of the investigators took this picture of this huge sort of a white mass, and we've been told, the portal is in that one section of the basement, and it could be that the object is activating it for, we get everything coming through this portal. We have so much going on through the house through the last 6 years. So I don't know if you wanted to show that.
I did. I'm showing it to him now.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And that was unexpected. That was a really large mass of, we're not sure what that was. But a lot of this is, we feel tied in maybe with the Nazi, because we also had other things going on that are very German oriented, like some of the things in my second book are transcripts that we wrote down. Noreen's the best person to even that I'm on your show, because we actually had EVPs coming through your show several years ago in May. I think it was May 18th, and I think it was 2015, Noreen. I think it was almost 2 years ago. And it's documented in my book. Noreen's in my book. She's in chapter 28, and it talks about me being on her show and having this really crazy thing happening with. Remember your computer kept turning the fan.
Yes, the fan kept going off, and at that time I didn't know what the problem was, but I do know now. But anyway, the fan was going off, so because of that fan, it was creating a white noise, and because of that noise, we were getting all kinds of EVPs. In fact, it was a viewer that was sending me all these EVPs. And then your son also, I think we played.
Because what the person that was in the chat room started hearing things and was relating them to you, and you sent me a transcript of what she was writing down, and I didn't show this to my son. My son then listened to the show the next day because it was archived, and he started writing down EVPs that he heard, and then I looked at his sheet and compared to what you sent me, Noreen, and there was so many similarities that what he heard, there was exact same sentences that he heard the same thing. I think your viewer, she kind of backed off after she didn't want to hear anymore, but my son continued listening, and he caught 70 EVPs we wrote down, and they're archived in the book, and they were pretty frightening. And they had German accents. It was a man and a woman. They were very angry that I was talking about the Nazi connection on the show, and they were threatening me. They were threatening. They mentioned the Peruvian. They said the doll. They go, "Oh yeah, go show the doll." I mean, they were actually interacting with the whole interview, and that was pretty incredible. That was really something.
I know. All right, now I want to get back to the Nazi memorabilia or the artifacts that you have. Now, you have these swords. Can you explain what those German bayonets?
Yes.
Those were in this collection.
Yeah, well, they were found really at the very beginning. We saw these were rusted. We really didn't know too much about weapons, but we covered them up with an old towel and put them in a box, and then just it went in storage. That would be one of the first. Let's just move off, and we'll put these away and see about them later, because they didn't look they were just these rusted things. But we put them away, and they came along when I brought stuff to my house. What we didn't realize is that these were probably also giving off a lot of energy, and we had some incidents that happened where I've been scratched pretty badly several times. One incident is portrayed in the Portal of Doom episode, where I got scratched in my upstairs bathroom, and it was across my chest. I had several scratches, and it took several weeks to heal. When Bill found out about that we were also getting other things happening, he came, and this is in the second book, he came to investigate about these daggers, because I actually remembered, I actually had a dream, and it was like saying, do you remember these bayonets? And I then, the next morning, I go, wait a minute, where did I put those bayonets? I mean, I'm just now remembering about these. And after going through boxes, I found them, and I took a picture, and I sent it to Bill, and he did not like what he was getting, the kind of energy or what he was feeling from viewing these bayonets. And he said, when I come up, we got to get rid of these, and I'm going to make sure I put holy water and seal them. And people just have to read the second book to know exactly how that all came about, because I'm just giving you a little bit of a recap. But those bayonets are, one in particular is from an SS officer, and that sort of verified to us that the father had these connections, and also I had a man from the Washington D.C. area who does archival investigation for me. I found him through the I guess it would be the archives website, and they have different people that you can contact that are experts in doing research on microfilm, and I asked him if he would be able to do some research for me. I paid him for his time to go down to Washington, D.C., and then he went to College Park, Maryland, where the SS microfilm is being stored. There's like 70,000 pieces of microfilm that were used, and then the actual archives were sent back to Berlin, Germany, and are in the archives there in Germany, but we have all the copies before these were done in the 1970s from World War II, and he was able to verify to me, finding names that we were being introduced to, and also the father's name was on the list. So, but he actually had to go twice down to College Park. The one time he was told he needed special permission, a written request, because he had to go to the back room where other things were kept, actually handwritten documents, and he found a handwritten piece with my friend's father's name on that. So that was pretty incredible. That verified what we had been told, that there was possibilities of that.
Now, what about these pins from the Nazi
The pins are what we found. They're made of aluminum and I think celluloid. They were probably given as souvenirs to Nazi rallies, from what we can understand, because I've looked that up. I had a military fella who conferred with me. He said, oh yes, he said these would be, nominally, they would be bought for pennies, and people could put them on their lapel and wear them to the rallies. And he said, you have different ones there that are from the different rallies that Hitler had with the Nazi troops. And of course, Hitler was in the 1930s, became Chancellor of Germany. So there's a lot more that was in Germany before we even found out about it, like in World War II. The United States didn't enter until 1941. So there was a lot of things going on in Europe and in Germany, much more before we were even, told about it or what was known. But this is just from doing the research, finding these out, to know that the father was, he was pretty heavily involved in associates with, the Nazi party. So that makes our, we have our blood has run cold a few times when we found these things, or had, something with a German accent, a voice telling you, I'll throw acid in your face, that type of thing, which is pretty scary, you know.
I'll say
And when I was
it is.
writing my books, they did not want me, whatever we were told that, you know, these books, you know, they were very angry that I was exposing all this, but I thought, you know what? You wanted to interact with us and you are disrupting our lives. I need to get this out to tell people, to warn them that, you know, you could be an innocent person just doing your duty as an executor, which took me 2 years to clear out his whole estate because of things I had to research, because things were written down, but yet I had to be like a detective, because when a person dies suddenly, you know, there's a lot of things that you don't know. And my friend had a lot of secrets that, you know, that I had to find out, and that wasn't real great for me, you know, to see some things that I had to find out. But I think he was involved in some things, not so much the occult, but the study of occult objects because of his research, and I think he got way over his head on some things, and what we are now dealing with is the aftermath of what he didn't finish, so now we are, you know, involved in it too.
And there was also a rare ceremonial object that they attach it to the swords.
Yes, that rounded piece with a strap. I came across it in a box that he left me. He left me certain metal boxes with all the keys, and inside were documents and other things that he wanted me to have. But this one thing was wrapped up in plastic, and I had no idea what it was. I just knew that it had a strap on it. I had thought maybe it was something, I really didn't know what it was. It was metal mesh, and it turned out that I was surfing on some of the military sites, saw one up for sale, and I contacted the man who was putting it. I said, can you tell me about this? And he was very kind to tell me what this, I said, I have one exactly like this. And he says, you do? He said, well, these are only given out as ceremonial, or the sword or bayonet, to officers in the they call it the SA, which was the SS, but then the Nazis changed into an SA group, and then there was another offshoot of Gestapo. And he said only a person with that kind of level of of ranking would have been given something like that. So again, we were getting verified of what my friend's father had been associated with.
Wow. Now, okay, there's also, because of these Nazi artifacts that have been happening, that you got in your house, they're saying that there's faces behind you. Roy said there's 2 different faces in the curtain behind you.
Okay. I can believe that. We've had this before when I've been on. There's then things happen behind me because they know I'm talking about them. We still have, we've been in the clear for a while. We still have Nazi association going on in the house. And of course, if and I keep referring to the book. The book explains a lot, my second book, about the Nazis coming to my son in dreams. My son has become very psychic after his association with the house cleanup. My son was probably gifted, but the stress and the trauma of what we experienced at my friend's house brought all these latent abilities out. And within a short amount of time in 2010, we had a lot of dead Nazi officers come to my son that they had recently died, and gave them their names and different. Oh, I'm getting such a chill from behind me. Oh my God. I'm just getting this chill right across me. Whoa. Yeah, I'm talking about you guys, whether you like it or not. Well, I have to laugh, because if I don't laugh, I'll be like terrified, because we've been living with this so long and trying to understand why us. But Bill Bean was very kind, sitting down with us, and first meeting him when we had him to our house, he said, I just want to tell you right off the bat, I believe you 100%, because I'm picking this up from both of you, that you are, they are attracted to you because you guys are magnets for this. You both have psychic abilities, and they're coming to you for a reason. And he said, I don't know if this could be bad or good, but you don't want the negative things coming to you, interacting with you along with the good, because we do have good things that have happened to us also in the house. But the Nazi connection has been very unexpected. We figured, well, we shut the door to my friend's house, that was going to be it, and never dreaming that within 2 months things would be happening in my house, and they really are running parallel to the same kinds of things that happened in my friend's house. And it probably because of the objects, and people have said to me, why don't you get rid of the objects? Well, believe me, we have tried, and when we try to make plans and start moving things, then the poltergeist activity starts way up again. And I've been attacked again, and Christopher's been attacked, my son, and you know, it's not fun getting scratched so badly that I still have a scar on my stomach, which happened in January. I was scratched really badly, and they are interacting with us. The demonic, the energy of this negative force that comes and goes in here, and it's definitely dealing with the evil of, I think, the Nazism, you know, and what that represents, because the people that came to my son were all bad guys. They were really, we've researched them. I've even called the Simon Wiesenthal Center in California to verify these men and what their place were in the, you know, the Nazi party, and they were some really bad guys.
Well, you sent me some pictures.
That they came to my son.
Yeah,
so.
You sent me some pictures.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so this one is Martin Sandberger.
Yes, he was the first one that came to my son just out of the blue. My son, he came downstairs in the morning for breakfast, and he wrote down, he goes, there's this guy that worked with your friend's father. I don't know, there's a couple of dates on there. He said, I don't even know who he is. And he said, but he came to me last night. I go, really? Like, who's coming to you? And he says, maybe you could look him up. Well, this happened in 2010, and I wasn't really big surfing like Google and the web, so I let it go for about a week, and my son said, did you ever find out who he was? I go, no. I said, you look him up. I don't know how to look this stuff up. And he did, and he said, oh my God, he said, this guy just died in March. So we had the date. It was 3:30. He died on the 30th of March, and he was, I think, is there 98 on? He was 98 years old. So my son got that right, that he had passed. He came to my son several months after he passed away. And then the next one was the Hans Joachim Sewerwing, and Chris wrote this man's. We've never heard of these guys before, ever. I've studied a little bit of World War II when I was in high school, but I was never that big, you know, into it. I mean, my dad served in World War II, so we heard World War II stories and we watched movies, but I didn't know who I never heard of Martin Sandberger before. And then we heard of this Hans Sewerwing, and he turned out to be, so he had just passed away in June, and my son had everything correctly down. And then he had a woman come to him who, it was a multiple dream, and that's all documented. It was such a long dream that he just called me into his bedroom one morning. He said, Mom, bring pencil and paper with you quick. You've got to write these things down. They're all in my brain, and my brain hurts, he said, from all night of me dreaming of these people. And this woman that came to him happened to be a member of the White Rose, the resistance group, which we had never heard before. And she had died only, I think, 10 days before she came to Christopher. And in that dream, he had 3 separate people come to him. They had all died within days of each other, all from Germany, and they were from all walks of life. One was a writer. He had the full name of the fellow, his name may be off by 1 letter. He had the woman's name that had her initials. It was MLJ, Marie Louise Jean. She had died, I think, at 96, because she had been in prison, but she was let out after the war. She was a member of this White Rose, and then she named people to Chris who had died, but she didn't die, and he had 3 of the 6 members of the White Rose written down, and we had never heard of these people either. And so he started looking up recently deceased people on the internet, like in Europe, and he goes, I think this is the woman. He said, because this is her name, and oh my God, like this is all these things she told me, this all relates to, and the woman had a dead flower in her hand, and she was behind bars when she was talking to Chris, and she was saying to him, shame on you, you know better, or who's the person who told on me? And Chris is just writing, he's just remembering all this to tell me. And it's the most incredible thing to have a son who's giving you names of dead Nazis, and you're finding out these people really did live, and they just died. And and if we did not have these names, Noreen, I would not have been able to do the research that I did, because they're all associated with my friend's father. We find a connection now that they're all probably, connected with him, and it's just crazy. It's we never expected to find this stuff. Not with, I mean, you're supposed to be taking care of a house, and you're just emptying it out. Just the normal thing. Okay, it's going to take time, and then you go on a paranormal journey, and it's never ending. And we just keep finding things out as we're going along, and it's like multiple things happening at the same time. That is just an incredible thing to be living through.
You also sent me a picture of a, Schollenberg?
Yeah. Oh, Schollenberg. Yes, he was the man that Marie-Louise Jean mentioned, or he's in the picture. Chris said he came out of the shadows, and he said his name was Schollenberg, but it was Schollenberg, and my son started trying to pronounce the Stutzstaffel. He said, I don't know what I'm getting, Stotz or Stoff, and here that's the SS name in German, Stutzstaffel. And he tried to have me pronounce that and write that down. I go, I don't know what I'm writing down over here. And here, the research. So he was the commander who had arrested Marie-Louise Jean, and also turns out he was connected to going to Italy, and another man that came to Chris only a few years ago, because he died at 100, Eric Pripke, who was on house arrest in Italy for the last, I think, 10 years of his life. He was discovered in Argentina and had lived his life as he fled Nazi Germany and made a life in South America. And he was discovered by a journalist. He was tried in Italy, and he was under house arrest until he died at 100. And he also came to Chris and he said, I don't really know where this man fits in. Well, it turns out Eric Pripke had connection with Schollenberg, and then we find that Schollenberg had connections with Sandberger and with probably Sewerwing. They're all within the same jurisdiction of secret group, Gestapo, committing espionage and also assassinations. And that's what's pretty scary, because Laurie Hall had been attacked in my basement, and they tried to strangle her. She actually felt someone trying to strangle her. And what we found out, that my friend's father, if it is true that he was part of this group, his group was responsible for dealing with spies, and they were executed, or they would be strangled, or they would be done away with in a secret manner, and never finding the bodies. So it's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing to feel that all this is connected to these men, but all these men committed murders. They are the worst of humanity, and they are floating around. They are attracted some way to my house to talk to my son, and we're still trying to figure all this out, like why they still want to hang around, or why they won't leave, and might be because of this object that we can't find, that they are using that to kind of energize themselves and stay where they want to be, because they don't want to face the music. What Laurie has told us, our medium, she had said, they know that they've done wrong. They don't admit it. They still think they're in the right, and they will not face the music. So they'd rather be in oblivion, or being in between planes, because they don't want to face justice. They don't want to face retribution, because it means they'll be sent to hell. And that's where they should be, but right now they'd rather be, in kind of an ether and not really move on, because they feel safe that way. But that doesn't do us much good, because, hey, my ether is my house, like, I don't think I want you to hang around here. But
what about this what about this other picture that you sent me? Hans and Sophie Scholl. Yeah, well, they contacted your son as well?
Hans and Sophie Scholl, and then Christopher Prost, they were mentioned in the dream to Christopher. that they were executed. They were executed by beheading. And when Chris was seeing this woman behind bars, she had a ball next to her foot with the number 6 on it. And then Chris said the ball had been dark, and then it turned red, like blood red. And it turns out that 3 of the people he got images of, like a Prost, and then it was a Christoph Prost, and then Hans, and then his sister. They were all in the White Rose movement along with Marie Louise Jean, and fought against the Nazi regime. They were intellectuals. They were handing out booklets against the Third Reich, and they knew it was really dangerous, and they were captured and executed. And then they were 3, and then there was another 3 that died, I think about almost a year later, that had been in prison, and 3 other members that were associated with Marie Louise Jean, they also lost their lives. They were executed. So we were finding these symbolism, these different things that this woman was telling my son, and it all made sense because we started investigating that. And so Hans and Sophie Scholl are considered martyrs, and there are statues of them in Berlin and in Munich. They have schools named after them because she was very, very brave. She knew she was going to be executed, and they were deeply Christian and in their beliefs. And they said the way that she conducted herself and faced with such bravery her execution, it just impressed even the SS officers, when she died, that they couldn't believe how brave she was. But that's all part of it, part of these people that lost their lives.
I think we discussed this before. Your son really needs to write a book.
He is writing a book, Noreen. He is. He's in the process. He's actually into about 5 or 6 chapters. We got him like a template, and he started writing it the last couple months. So he's writing the book from his perspective about things that happened when he left this house after he was married and lived at my parents' house for a while before we sold it, and the crazy things that were going on over there, because we think things followed him to the house, because he was telling me things. There's things I'm reading now that he's showed me some of his chapters. I said, I didn't know this. He goes, no, you had enough to deal with, Mom. I wasn't going to tell you about some of this stuff going on over at the other house, so it ought to be pretty interesting.
But it's very interesting hearing about these dead people from the Holocaust and the Nazis that have been in contact. Why your son? And what is there any messages for him, and how he proved that because he didn't know these names, and you guys looked them up and found out they were real people. And it's so rare to get full names, first and last names. So it's going to be a very interesting book, and I would love to have your son come on the show and tell his story, because I find it very fascinating. All right, we only have
Chris is he's a really unique person. He's very gifted, and he still has. I mean, and it's not just Nazi people. I mean, he's had other things even on vacation where he's been visited by a child ghost, and he found out later that because they were vacationing, and somebody was knocking on their door in the middle of the night, and when he would go to the door, there was nobody there, and he said there's some little kid running around. I don't know who he is, but I could see him. He's like blonde hair, and he's a little boy. And here, where they were staying down the shore, down in New Jersey, the place where they stayed, my son asked the next morning. He went to the restaurant, and then there was an outside bar, and he said, do you guys ever have a swimming pool here? And the man looked at him and goes, oh yeah. He said, there used to be a swimming pool here, but we covered it over after a little boy drowned in the swimming pool. So my son said, he says, I'm out of here. He said, they left a day early, and he couldn't stay at the resort. He said, I'm not staying here. So even when he's on vacation, they find him. And he has that child's name, but my son's been very hesitant. He goes, I don't even know if I should get in touch with parents, or I have the little boy stuck there. He's still looking for his parents. Aww. That he drowned and doesn't know that he's deceased, I think. So it's pretty sad. Some of the things that come to my son, and he wakes up in tears sometimes, and he's crying because of how he's been so touched by some of the the people that are coming to him, men, women, and children that are contacting him. And, he's just, the next day, he can't even function that well because his energy is so drained and he has a massive headache. He just says, oh no, he said, they're at it again. They've been at me all night talking to me. So it's not for the faint of heart to be anything associated with the paranormal or have these gifts, because they take a lot. They take a toll on you physically and emotionally.
Wow. Okay, we only have about 5 minutes, but I want you, I don't know if we ever covered this. We may have covered this on one of the shows we aired on these objects, these threads that you get from spirit. Do you happen to have any with you in the house to show the viewers?
You know what it is, Noreen? That's why I sent the pictures. They're so delicate, and I have them stuck on paper that I don't even know if they'll show up on the screen. I mean, if you show a few of the, do you have a few of the pictures that I sent you? Because they actually would be, they're more close up, because what I did then, I scanned them, that were actually on a card, because they're very, very delicate. I started getting threads. I didn't even know what it was until it was in 2010. We found some blue silky threads just random on a TV table next to my easy chair at night where I sit. And my son actually had some of his paints. He paints models, so he had his paints on the table, and he found these blue threads on one of his paint bottles. And he said, "Mom, were you over here like doing your handwork? Because I sew things." And I said, "No." I said, "I wasn't over here, but what are those?" He says, "I don't know. They're just these little silky threads on my paint." Well, I took a look at that, and I said, "Well, I don't know what it is." And I didn't throw them away. I just put them on my coffee table and went to bed. The next morning, something caught my eye, because I have a darkish brown carpet, and they were light blue, the threads. I look on the carpet, and I see something blue. But it wasn't the threads that were just, these frail little things. They were actually crocheted, or they were made into a woven piece. And I looked at it, I go, wait a minute, that's the blue threads, but that's not the way I left them. I mean, they were just random threads, and someone actually made something out of them. And I was just, I just couldn't believe it. And I showed him to my son, and he goes, "Are they the same blue threads?" I go, "Yeah, something did something with them during the night." And so that was like the first thing. Then, like within months later, randomly on my carpet, I find another blue thread, but this one's even thicker and even more elaborate the way it was done. And I thought, wow, this is something that is directly making me see these, and they're really decorative. Really, somebody is making these. And then I found a few days later on my steps, my carpeted steps, there was another one, and they were all blue. But then things changed, and one was red. That my son had a long red thread coming from a new T-shirt, and he threw the thread out in the trash can in the upstairs bathroom. The next morning, I find the red thread on the windowsill in the bathroom, and it's been crocheted into something. I go, well, normally we don't supply the thread, but I guess this works too. That's something is taking it out of the trash basket. And then my son called me. My mom was very ill at the time, and I was over at the house taking care of her. And he called me up one night. He goes, "Mom," he said, "guess what? Someone left you another present, and it's the upstairs bathroom, but it's on the countertop, and it's purple." And it was a purple one that was woven. And this kept happening. I found it under my pajamas in my bedroom, where, cue to you, Noreen, because you know now what it is to get a piece of thread, because I found it in my bedroom on top of a pink bedspread, and it was dark purple. It's like, okay, now they're putting him in my bedroom. And ever since then, I must have over a dozen pieces of these, all different colors and different things. And sometimes I find a thread, but I don't think anything of it, and I just put it aside, but it's not made into anything. So that must have come from a blanket, or it could have come from a piece of, clothing. But we always know what these are, because we can see distinctly that they are made into a loop pattern. And a friend of mine compared them to mourning jewelry that people did in 1800s with hair from a deceased loved one or from a love token from a woman to her fiance or something, or to her husband. They would weave hair into these really intricate little patterns. And a friend said, she said, that's what that reminds me of, because the threads are so fine, it looks like mourning jewelry, the way that they're designed. So, but Noreen, you have to tell what happened to you.
Yeah. We had originally aired this show on March 9th, and YouTube did not record it on their server. So that's why we aired this particular show tonight. And but when we were talking about scheduling the last show in March,
Right.
I told Anita, I said, Anita, you're not, in fact, no, I sent her a picture. I said, you're not going to believe this, because we had talked about it, and we had shown this before on one of our previous shows. I said, you're not going to believe this. I said, we were making the bed, and I have a white bedspread, and I saw this thread on the bedspread, and I thought, oh God. And so I was going to go pick it up and throw it away. But upon looking at it, I said, oh my God, that's the same kind of stuff that Anita gets. And I happen to have that with me, so I'll show that to you.
Yeah,
That's mine right
I was
there.
like, I was blown away when you told me.
Let's see.
The thing is, it's not just at my house that we have found these, because when my son lived at my parents' house, we found several there on a bedroom rug and on a welcome mat. And then I was at a department store with my son one afternoon last year, and I had a green sweater on, and he picked something off my back. He goes, Mom, you won't believe this, but there was this long blue woven thread. And he said, that was not on your back a few minutes ago. He said, I just have to see that on your back. So it does travel. So so now she's going to California. We think it's our resident lady goes over here. Marjorie is traveling to California.
Yeah. Thank you.
She took a vacation.
Oh my goodness. Well, Anita, thank you, honey, so much for being on the show and re-airing this show with me. I really appreciate it. Everybody, let me show your books again. Estate of Horror and Dark Transference. Now, and both of these are awesome books. You can get them at Amazon.com, so please pick up your copy. And Anita, I wish you nothing but the best, and if anything else, you write another book. When your son is finished writing his, please let me know. I'd love to have you guys back on the show.
Will do, Noreen, and it's always a pleasure to be on your show. We've gotten to know each other through the years, and I just always enjoy being on your show. Hope your listeners enjoyed the artifacts and the things that they heard tonight. And I'm always grateful for people like you to promote our causes, people like me that we've been through some extraordinary experiences, and you are a vehicle to be able to further our information and our stories to the people out there. So thanks so much. You do a great job, Noreen, and it's a very valuable commodity to have in paranormal community, the way that you do your shows, and I'm very grateful for your friendship. So thank you so much.
Thank you, honey. Thank you. My best wishes to you. Lots of love, honey. Good night.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Wow, everybody, I hope you enjoyed the show. She has a fascinating story, and I can't imagine what she's going through, and it's still active. She has more to tell. I'm not sure if she put that in her book, and we didn't have time to mention it tonight, but they have a store now where she's storing some of these artifacts. I think they're going to have like a museum in this store, and the activity, the poltergeist activity now is continuing in this store, that they're going to have all these artifacts, and like I said, it'll probably be like a little museum. Everybody, thanks so much for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to give the show a like. Hope you did enjoy it. I got a great show also next Thursday. Kristen Lee, owner of the Bel Air House, has quite a story to tell and some upgrades on the hauntings and the battle that she is facing right now with that house. And also joining us will be Dave Spinks and David Weatherly of Supernatural Society of the Supernatural. They'll be presenting evidence as well and talking a little bit about the house. So hope to see you next week. Don't forget you can subscribe for reminders of the show at paranormalzone.tv, and there's a little tab that says show reminders. So let's do some fast shout outs because we're running late tonight. Also, I want to thank Royce Hinman, my mod, for keeping a great chat room. Annie couldn't make it tonight. She got stuck working late, but she will return next week with us. But again, thank you, Royce, so much for being mod every week. Every week he's here, making the chat room great for you guys. And also send your positive thoughts to Royce. He really needs them and your prayers. So let's do some fast shout outs, okay? Pungy Fungi, David Coffin, Chippa Tina Kelly, BCH Bounce, Nancy Soplavita, @2, Misty Dawn, Ginger Simmons, Crow T. Robo 1977, Carl White, yay, Carl White, there's my Carl. About 2:30 in the morning, I think it is, honey. Clara Knott, Princess Patricia, Elaine Michael, Sean Days, Summer Sims, Lynn Flygirl, Charmy Vapsenfly, Venter Storm, Zippy Davis. I also saw Gacy. Gacy, I've known Gacy for years. We go way back when I was on another channel, and I saw that he was in. Rachel Phillips, Darlene Schicksnyder. Anybody else? Oh, there you are, Gacy. Hey, Gacy. Thanks, Gacy. Are you still on Facebook? I think we're friends on Facebook, but I can't remember what name you use on Facebook. Contact me. Marilyn Harmon. Oh, Cara White. Okay, 3:12 a.m. Thanks, honey, for staying up. Zinzin Whisperwind. Hi on Emmy. Sean Days, Nanny Tristan. Hi, Gacy. Thanks for stopping by, Gacy. It's been a long time. Oh, well, nice to see you on a live show. Diane Hilbert, Roy Stevens. Anybody else want to shout out? We had a nice crowd tonight. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Please don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'd appreciate it. Yes, Ginger, it's been a while, honey. I'm glad you could make it as well. All right, everybody, don't forget, OC Star, thank you for coming. Everybody, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. Going to be a good show next week. Oh, God, and also the last show for this month, Francis Paleo. Hi. Lovely Tubi. The last show of the month also will be the Haunted Summerwind that was featured on a haunting. We're going to do 2 shows on Summerwind. The first show will be on the history and the hauntings that go on. And then we're going to do a second show on the restoration and what's been going on with Summerwind. I'm really excited about that. And that show will probably air in July or August. So everyone, stay tuned. Joanne D., stay tuned for upcoming shows. And I try to set up my events ahead of time on my channel, so you could always go to the front page of my YouTube channel. Everybody, good night. Oh, Jade. Hey, Jay Alford. Hi, honey. All right, so everybody, I'm going to say good night, and thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it, and I do these shows for you, but I also enjoy them as well. And I want to thank you, and my good nights to you all. Have a wonderful weekend. Love you guys. Group hug. Thank you. Good night.